I'm the center of the universe. Hey, here's a question. If you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself? I would. Good. If you'd have said no, I'd have come at you like a tornado of arms and teeth.
First time anyone's ever said that.
As the Counting Crows told us, it's been a long December, and there's reason to believe that maybe this year will be better than the last. And one of the ways that can happen is to bring baseball back into the homes of America's families so we can watch America's greatest pastime. I don't know what I'm saying, but this is another episode of From the Middle. There's a podcast hosted by three guys. They're middle chapters of their lives in the middle of America, the point of view that's somewhere in the middle. And I am your host.
Well, Altuve takes another one to the thigh.
Ball
Gonna
outside.
be a rough year.
Foul tip.
Houston Astros.
Yes, this is
They're gonna take it out on a trash can.
from the Middle, episode 41, and I am one of your hosts, Corey Hubble.
Dylan Hubble.
Kendall Hubble.
Kendall Hubble. And if you are just tuning in for the first time, which would surprise us, but we accept you and we welcome you here. We are a podcast.
Well, I mean, we just met.
Yeah, pretty much. We are middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives, with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle. Hence the name. You see what we did there? It's like
yes.
we use middle like 4 times. Foul ball. And so that's who we are, and we get together on a weekly basis and just talk about our lives and what's going on as husbands and dads and guys doing different things in our careers and professions and things like that. And we're also geeks, so we're into all things entertainment and geek culture and music and all of the things. So that's who we are. That's what we're all about. We're not Canadian. And yeah, guys, save me, please.
Well, and it was a great introduction. Super neat job. 3 of us had a last name Hubble on the intro, and one of us is a filthy liar. So I'll let you folks do with that what you will. And I as soon as you said that, my brain went to that little song. Is it Sesame Street? Like, one of these things is not like the other. That's what my head jumped to. It's about as wholesome as we get here, folks, is Sesame Street.
Yeah. So we sometimes start with a round of updates and anything going on in our lives. And then my brother here, my real brother, has come up with some topic ideas for
Yeah. A few things that would be funsies we could do. I don't have any updates, though, so you guys go ahead.
0 updates.
Okay,
Nothing has happened to you.
Nothing interesting.
Heard you had meetings at
that's
work
never
today.
stopped us before.
Yeah, I had lots of meetings. Yeah, we were texting earlier. I had meetings most of the day today, and it's fine. It's
Which is what startup companies do.
what you do. And we had meetings about our meetings, and then the meetings themselves, and some meetings about how the meetings went about the meetings. And yeah, It all feels good by the end of the day.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're a good fit for your startup company? Do you feel like you're really making an impact?
Yeah, honestly, the giant beanbag chairs fit so well when I lay in them.
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's part of the point of beanbag chairs.
Yeah.
It's smart everybody could be a good fit then if you have enough
That's
beanbag
right.
chairs.
That's right.
Give everybody a beanbag chair, they're all a good
Yeah.
fit.
So no, yeah, work's good. Nothing crazy going on in my life. Meetings and upon meetings are fine. And yeah, I don't nothing else funny happened to me.
All right.
I would share it if I had it.
You're free of the coronavirus.
Yep, don't drink that at all. So
far,
no corona, no coronavirus. That's what I've read. It's super helpful if you just read headlines. You don't even have to read articles because headlines tell you everything you need to know.
That's true.
Turns out, don't drink corona, don't get the coronavirus. I'm fine.
Well, okay. Do you guys remember that one time we did an episode where we talked about "Are you kidding me?" moments.
Yeah, that was last week, I believe.
That was last week or whenever it was. One of my stories had to do with the refrigerator that went out, and at the time of recording that podcast, we had yet to have received our current refrigerator. And so we had gone out that Saturday, the day that we found out our refrigerator was dead, and we went to a place and we bought one. Got a good deal on a scratch and dent situation. And so we're there and we buy this fridge and they're like, can you deliver it? And I'm like, well, my truck died. So yeah, we need you to deliver it. And they're like, okay, we'll be there in 4 days. And then I was like, okay, are you kidding me? And
How many miles do you live from this place?
across town.
Okay.
Across town. So that's whatever. That's fine. That didn't really. Right now I'm feigning annoyment for the purpose of comedy.
Okay.
Didn't really bother me that much. And let me just do this instead of explain it. I'm going to do this guy right here.
Those are good.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are good.
Thank you. Nothing adds anything. Nothing adds to a conversation like a good sound bite.
Windows just rebooted.
Everybody's mind just went somewhere when I played that.
Yeah.
That had something to do with the conversation, and it, I don't know where your mind went. I'm just the artist, right? The interpretation belongs to the people.
People.
Anyway,
So the delivery.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Is this episode over yet?
That's what everybody else is wondering.
So Wednesday rolls around and we have our time slot I'm not even going to get into the whole story of getting the time slot scheduled, because out of literally an entire day, there's 45 minutes during which I need to be able to pick my kids up from preschool where I can't be home. And that was a major issue, trying to get this thing delivered to us. Anyway, we got around that eventually.
Your face.
And we get a time slot. Now we're getting to where I actually am getting annoyed. Time slot of noon to 5, right?
Sure.
And so I'm waiting. At some point in that time, probably 3 o'clock or so, I had not heard from the company yet, but I had been at around 3 o'clock or so informed that I need to disconnect the water line from our fridge, and so then I do that, and I cannot find where that water line specifically is attached to another water line with any kind of valve. So I resort to, in my head, they could show up any minute now. It's 3 o'clock. My window is noon to 5, and I need to have this done when they get here. And so I'm, in the interest of time, I just go and I shut the water down to the whole house, and then I bleed the water out. I pull the fridge from the wall. I disconnect the water line, and then I'm like, cool, I'm ready. They don't show up. About 4 o'clock, I get a text message, an automated text message that says, hey, we'll be there in about 45 minutes. All right. Well, you're cutting this 5 o'clock thing pretty close. But okay, you'll be here in 45 minutes. And they even send me a link that says you can track where our driver is. And so I'm checking where their driver is every 15 minutes. He's still across town at the store. And so eventually it's 5:15 and he's still across town at the store. And so I'm like, okay, well, I bet the whatever, their GPS system, whatever, just isn't working right. Surely he's on his way here. They told me an hour and 15 minutes ago they were going to be here in 45 minutes.
Right.
So I call, nobody answers. Somebody calls me a few minutes later and says, hey, we just wanted to update you. The guys are getting ready to leave right now.
Pause. How many days has it been since you've had a functioning refrigerator at this point?
At this point, all day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're
5 days.
We're closing in on 5 days.
Okay.
Of not having a fridge. And so eventually they show up they're super late. They're way outside of their window. Everything goes fine. They put the new fridge together. They install it. They leave. Everything's great. Couple hours later, there's an error code on the front of the refrigerator, and it has stopped working.
Enough to test even the most patient of men.
I tell you what. To their credit, we called them the next morning, and the maintenance repair people from that store were much, much better to deal with than the delivery people from that store.
As you do.
They were there that day, within a few hours.
Oh, that's better. I was like, that day is still a long day.
And so this is now Thursday, right?
Oh, man.
So it was Thursday afternoon, so almost 6 days that we had no refrigerator. But they came out and they fixed it relatively quickly. It was a simple little silly thing that happened when it was moving. But
Something got jostled.
something got jostled.
I was going to say that late delivery or service time is the worst because there's no room for error.
Yeah.
Like if nobody wants to be up super early, but you need like the 8 to 2 or whatever. And then if they're late, it's 3, 4, 5 o'clock. No big deal. But like, you don't want to push something back and then it's 7:30 and the people are still there.
Oh my. Yeah.
It's dinner time. You're trying to get kids to bed. Like, yeah, that's the worst.
So anyway, I know it sounds like a really trivial thing, which I turned into a big old long story. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Not for 1 second should you apologize.
So that, and then this morning I did go grocery shopping in the rain.
How was that?
It's my favorite time to go grocery. Have you ever tried?
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, and I don't care for it one bit.
Have you ever? Oh, I need to get that sound. I forgot to do that. Have you ever tried grocery shopping in the rain? It's my favorite.
You know darn well how I feel about that young man. I don't care for your tone. For those listening who may be confused,
Thank you.
we had an episode a while back about pet peeves. And one of mine is getting groceries and unloading them in the rain. Because the plastic grocery bags implode upon themselves.
No, they don't.
They do. It's a thing. I don't care what you say. It's a thing that happens.
The comment was stop buying your groceries at the clown store.
And the bags do not hold up, and everything sticks, and your food is wet, and it's the worst. The actual worst, not the sympathy worst I gave you for your fridge story. It's the actual worst.
I
don't care what any of you have to say.
I mean, I don't want to pick this apart, but you keep saying that grocery sacks or
Implode. They implode. They're not designed. Every other plastic on the face of the planet can withhold water, not garbage bags from the store for the grocery bags. Not those from the store. They rip. As soon as they get wet and you try to carry them, they rip, and they're the worst.
You talk about them as though they're
worst.
You talk about them as though they're made out of cotton candy.
I don't know what they're made out of, but it's crap.
Anyways, you have to go back and listen to those 2 episodes on pet peeves because just one episode wasn't enough to contain it. All of our enthusiasm around pet peeves drives us crazy. I have a few things to add to that list. As a matter of fact, ball outside. But if we ever do another pet peeves episode, I have some stuff to add.
Of course.
I have enough pent up.
Some things that I neglected to mention
Share.
the first go round. Okay, well, that's something. Freelance is getting busy for me. I've got, in case any of my creative friends are listening, I have like 3 logo projects, an activity book, a children's book, and a book cover. And that's all in addition to my day job, which is sending me to Sydney, Australia soon. So that should be fun. Never been there. It should be all right.
Where you went to Melbourne last year.
Yeah.
Sydney this year.
So
you're going to see the old opera house.
Yeah. So
that's the only thing Americans know.
Hello, Sydney.
Yeah, we've got wallabies, didgeridoos, and you Jackman.
That felt like a Monty Python bit there at the end.
What what is funny to me about the Australian accent is the upspeak at the end. It goes up like everything's a question.
Okay.
It starts to stick with you after a while. Anyway, so I'm excited to go to Sydney. I've never been there. I've got a free day or 2 or 3, so that'll be nice. I don't normally get a free day, so that'll be cool to just walk around Sydney.
So
like every time you end, so if you speak, every sentence is as if at some point during your speech you were surprised by an enema.
I was going to say,
Got a story about that.
or as
story
if
about that.
every single time you're mimicking a cartoon of an Australian person.
I know.
So if you're listening in Australia, because we know
We're
you
so
are,
sorry.
or you know anyone Australia, I didn't say sorry.
Okay.
Call in with a voicemail and let us know if Corey is right about the accent. What for you is not an accent, but for us.
a colleague of mine, I said, do you find that there's like a bit of a swing up at the end of your sentences? and he was like, yeah, I hate that about the way we talk. No, but he did say, he's like, I hate it. Like, I've tried to break that aspect of the
That's really
the
funny.
accent.
That is
Anyways,
funny.
If you could get him to leave a voicemail, that'd be great.
he might
we
actually.
can analyze it live.
He might. Friends with Dan, who's called in before. Anyway,
Who's not?
I had a bit of a road rage situation earlier today that I thought about talking about, but then I thought maybe it's more visual, and you guys you're like, no, we definitely have to talk about it. So is it that? Do you think?
Talk about it.
Okay,
do it.
so
If you're listening, hop on YouTube for this part, and he'll use hand gesties.
I do anyways. But anyways, all right. Here's the way it went down.
No, it's the way it went up.
No, the way it went down. Anyways, I am leaving the gym, headed back home. The entrance to our neighborhood happens to be a road that goes in between a McDonald's and a Wendy's back into our neighborhood. Okay? I'm at an intersection facing these 2 restaurants. I'm behind one car. I pull up behind the car. I look down at my phone for a second. All of a sudden, I see the person in front of me's reverse lights. Okay? Start to panic a little bit. Grab the shifter in case I need to go backwards, look behind me to make sure I've got room. And the person puts the car back in drive, all good. I don't know that she even saw this, okay? So in my defense, it could have been below the dashboard, but I just gave a hand like, is everything okay? Like what just happened?
You threw a single hand up, maybe in the air a little bit or higher than you thought. It's the single hand gesture, like what's going on?
All fingers up,
Yeah.
splayed out.
Yeah.
Just like,
Cannot be misconstrued for something else.
yeah, everything okay? Like what just happened? I see some movement.
Right, and you're directly behind her.
I'm directly behind her. Okay. She gets to green, flies through the intersection, and in about 20 or 30 yards is the entrance to the McDonald's, and she turns on her left turn signal like she's going to go into the McDonald's. Now, this part of the road is wide enough, and I do it all the time, that if a person's turning left into McDonald's and they've got oncoming traffic, they have to wait. I don't wait. I just go around them on the right.
Right.
Yeah, it's technically one lane, but there's plenty of
But
space.
there's room.
Yeah.
People do it all the time.
So there was some movement when I gave the hand of like, everything okay? What was that? Then she flies through the intersection, starts to turn left. I go around on the right.
Right.
As I go around on the right and am making my way back into my neighborhood, I look behind me in the mirror, and she has now turned off her left turn signal, and she's speeding up behind me.
She didn't care for that move.
She didn't care for that move. Now, I didn't do it aggressively with like and this is me defending and justifying now. I didn't do it aggressively with like a quick little jolt back to the left.
yeah.
I
We
just
take off her front fender on your way back just to.
I just made my way around her. But now she's
How dare
speeding
you.
up. She's speeding up, and she's coming up quick. And I look ahead of me. There's a car oncoming. I'm in a preschool area now. And she's passing me on the left with an oncoming car, and it's a 2-lane road into a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And speeds up, lays on the horn, cuts me off so much so that I have to slam on my brakes to avoid being hit in my left front corner panel. And she was trying to avoid the oncoming car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is going on? So we go back further in our neighborhood, and now I'm like, okay. And you start to do that thing where you go, did I legitimately do something wrong? I don't understand why she's so angry.
Right.
Maybe the hand could have been misconstrued as like what's going, like irate. And it was just like
on?
So anyway, now I'm like, I can't go straight back to my house.
Don't want Cray Cray to know where I live.
So I don't do any turn signals now because I don't know. She's in front of me now. I don't want her to know where I'm going. So I just turn onto the roads that lead back to my house, and I see she does a 180 like she's going to head back to the McDonald's that we just passed. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get home. I'm like calming down from that. I'm like, that was really weird. I'm going to go back. This was poor decision making. But now I want to see this person. I have to see the person. I have to put a face with the situation. So go back to the McDonald's. She's up at the window. I'm like way back, and I park into a parking spot and take a picture of her license plate just in case I need it for what has gone down or what may go down.
Yeah.
So then I drive. This is one of those McDonald's where you have to drive completely around it to get in the drive-thru, which is a whole other story that we talked about, like the etiquette of dual McDonald's drive-thru lanes. Anyways. So I drive around. She knows I drive a bright royal blue car. You can't miss it. So I pull alongside her slowly, and now I'm pulling in front of her. She's about to get her food, and she doesn't like make a gesture or like seem to recognize me. And then I just pull off and go home. So my question to you guys was,
maybe it was nothing, and she just has like driving Tourette's.
Well, the moving back and forth at the light, the speeding through the intersection, slam on brakes left, then the lay on the horn, cut you off.
Yeah.
180, go back to where you were going to go. Okay, so my question to you guys was, what percentage of that was my fault? Now, granted, you just got the biased version from my mouth. We didn't talk to her.
I really hope she calls in.
I doubt it.
I think that would be phenomenal.
Before I give you a percentage of your contribution, my favorite part about stories like this is how both people go home and tell their loved one, you're not going to believe what this person.
Sure.
He came back to the McDonald's.
He came back.
That part.
Through the drive-thru,
That
stared
part.
me down. I think he had a gun.
That part, we cannot say whether or
Well,
not.
it's Sunbury. He had a gun.
Well, okay. Everyone had a gun in the story.
Everyone in this gun has a story.
Everyone
in the
Yeah. In the retelling of the story, people are
late.
able to chime in, and the other people in drive-thru are all going, yeah, we had guns too. Because it's an interactive retelling of the story.
Yes.
And the McDonald's kid leans out the window and goes, yeah, I had a gun. Did you need that for this story?
I wasn't handing her food. That's how we do business around here. Anyways,
So anyways, for any of you listening outside of America, yes, everyone has a gun in every story. So anyways, I love how people can go home and tell the same story, the completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Sure.
And they're so sure about it being
100%.
right. Anyways, at least 20% your fault.
okay.
I think it became a big time situation. You threw up the hand, and then she kind of reacted, and then you whipped around her, even if you didn't. But you
I don't
did.
like how you say whipped. I didn't whip around her.
You whipped around in your little car,
I moved around
and
her.
I think there was this big time.
Why'd you have to call it a little car?
Are you like one upsmith? Like
Yeah,
you're
like you big timed her a little bit when you threw the hand, and she got a little flustered.
Okay.
And then you went around her, probably made it worse. Then she escalated it by not turning into McDonald's. That was not the adult move. And she like drove after you and then whipped around you. And then
in a
you had to-
preschool zone.
and
There
then
are
you-
children.
And then you circled back around the drive-thru with a car full of guns. and all the gang members you probably had in the car with you.
Yes. In hindsight, I should have not gone back to the McDonald's.
Yeah. Do you have any idea why she was trying to back up in the intersection in the first place? Like, what was going on there?
I have no context of the situation, but I feel like people often get a little too far past the line, then they feel uncomfortable.
Was she too far past the line?
I don't think it was that. I don't know. I really don't. I don't think she wasn't like, oh, her nose is sticking out into the intersection. That was definitely not the case.
Yeah, because sometimes you're trying to make the intersection last minute, and you get kind of caught like 6, 8, 10 feet ahead of the line.
Yeah, I get that, which is why I'm asking. Like, do we have any idea like why she was?
No. I thought, like, would you do that if you felt someone was too close to you at a light?
I would never.
I never worry about how close people are to me at a light.
Right. So I'm like, let's just say she was already having a bad day. And she was like, why is this guy right up on my... I don't think I was.
At a light.
At a light, right.
At a light. No one cares how close you are at a light.
Yeah.
You'd think.
I get annoyed when people aren't close enough.
Who knows? Who knows what was going on?
I think maybe she thought she was too far ahead and needed to back up a little bit, then realized you were there. And then...
Oh, then I gave the hand.
Like, what are you doing?
But it could have been like, everything okay over here?
Well, but unless... Hey, but that's where if... When people are in their cars, they don't assume that. They don't assume the guy behind them was thinking, hey, are you all right?
Yeah. This isn't assume positive
you
intent.
Assume, yes.
You assume that they're angry.
Yeah. Positive intent is never assumed in a driving situation.
Yeah. I think that's why it got escalated a little bit.
I think it got escalated a little bit there.
You threw the hand up with a gun.
Yeah.
At the light.
If you would have just put your guns away in the first place.
The Uzi.
You were heading from
the
gym.
Yeah, right. As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Probably no shirt on. She thinks you're crazy.
So the only other car or road rage incident I could think of happened separately in Lima in a double lane drive-through at a McDonald's.
Yeah.
So which led to my question: is the proper order for which car goes next? Is it based on staggering? So left lane, right lane, left lane, right lane, or is it purely based on? Is it a race to see who orders first and then go?
No, it's not staggering. That's chaos. It's completion of order and movement of car.
Exactly. It's efficiency, not Canadian.
Yeah. This is
Canadian would be
okay.
You know, the person who's ordering at the same time that I'm ordering is ordering for all 30 people at work.
Yes.
Right.
Fine.
And they're going to take 15 minutes to do so. 100%
are going to do that.
And I got done first.
Yes.
And the Canadian way would be just sit and wait for 15 minutes for them to finish up because it's their turn to get in front of you.
Sorry.
The efficient way would be, I got done ordering first. I'm going to go ahead and go now.
This
the
feels
first one is anarchy. Governments would collapse.
Fine.
Yeah.
Chaos would reign.
This feels a little bit like the zipper merge. Okay. Now let's say you both, so the outer lane people have further to go, right? It's like a racetrack. Inside lane gets to the meetup point quicker.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
it's also... I feel like the inside lane is also dependent on the outside lane to yield to them.
Okay. So if it was left, right, left, and then the person on the right, because they have further to go, let's say you both get to the meetup point at the same exact time.
Right. And you both generally speaking, were done ordering at the same time. And so you can't tell who was done ordering first. And this is legitimately a draw right now.
This isn't a NASCAR race. We don't have high-powered machines to slow down.
This is why autonomous driving didn't work, because you got to make these decisions on the fly.
Yep, robots can't figure that out.
This is the thought process that
I need eye contact
that we all go through. So legitimately, if it's a perceivable draw at ordering and moving forward, then yes, then I would default back to
stagger.
Which lane went first.
Whichever.
Then I would default back to stagger.
Okay, which is exactly what happened to me in this other story. And it was by that, what you just said, should have been my turn. But the lady on the left, inside track, she ain't budging.
Yeah, yeah.
But even if we both got there first, it would have then fell to me. So I look at the lady. This is where you
throw up a hand.
2 hands. I did this to signal stagger. Left,
That's
right.
too intricate for a drive-through.
Yeah, you can't.
Immediate middle finger yelling.
Yep, that makes sense.
I'm like, these people want they McFlurries and they ain't messing around.
You know how a self-driving car would have figured that out? The outside lane would have yielded to the one inside because it would turn in quicker.
It's already done the algorithm.
It's already done it. And here we are flipping each other's off and flashing Glocks. Because we can't think.
You've
Because
introduced-
it's like, I need to get my shake faster than
You've
you.
introduced way too many guns into these stories.
It's the Midwest. I don't know what else to do with the time.
Anyway, so those I love those questions.
So-
I absolutely, if we could just do a whole episode on like social etiquette questions like that, it would be so much fun.
We will. We'll just write them down.
And I think people would call in and give thoughts and opinions. Anyways,
I would be curious if there's any dissenting
questions.
opinions on the 2 drive-through, because like Chick-fil-A's have those now too. Like more and more places are doing multiple lane like drive-throughs.
Yeah.
of course, if one person's ordering for one of those huge Econoline buses full of a youth group, I get that it's not staggered. I'm not that dumb. But I'm just saying, overall, there's this unspoken kind of, it should be relatively staggered.
Relatively staggered, unless it's obvious that you were done ordering
Yeah.
and the other person was still ordering.
I feel like the real question is, how do the employees always know who to charge for which order and give which food when they can't keep a shake machine working?
That's a good question.
You pull up and they always say the right amount, and then
Yeah.
they always hand you the right food. How do they know?
Let's talk. Okay, so we talked about like what happens when you're in the middle of the orders. Let's talk about what happens when you're the third person behind a person on each side and you've not committed to a lane yet.
Oh yeah.
This happens at the car wash all the time.
Yeah.
Automatic car wash. There's 2 lanes for the automatic car wash. There's people in both. I haven't committed to one yet. So a line forms
behind you.
behind the area.
There's one person who made the decision that there's going to be a single file line starting with me that's going to wait and see which lane it makes the most efficient sense to get into.
Yeah.
And that would be just fine for everybody as long as we all play by those rules, right? And then there's always the one guy who comes up and sees that
Comes
and
up
takes
on the
advantage
left.
of it and comes up on the left and goes around everybody.
Yeah, those people who take up
Monsters.
2 lanes, monsters.
Taking up 2 lanes are not the
No.
monsters.
No.
The person going around is
I know. I'm saying that as me going back to me driving in 2 lanes to keep people
Yeah,
from
so
cutting
that's
people
where
off.
Dylan, based on the zipper merge analogy, he'd straddle the imaginary line that existed between both the left and right lane, and that's where the line should form. But we're saying no matter what, somebody's going to come up on the
Yeah.
left and decide, no, I'm going for lane 1. And you're like, no, I hadn't committed yet. You don't understand.
I feel like that happens.
not
at
only
the-
had I not committed, but the 3 people behind me hadn't either.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when it gets that's when it's
dicey.
obvious.
Yeah,
right?
does
if
he really
if
think
it's
that all those
just-
people were like, I just really want the right one?
If it's just me and I'm straddling and someone comes around to the other one, no big deal. I just pull into the one they didn't go into, and I'm
Sure.
fine with that.
Yeah, they
If
made the
it's-
choice for you.
If there's 3-4 cars lined up
Yes.
single file straddling, and then so it's obvious, and then it's
Should
obvious
be.
that somebody's just trying to get around these 4 people. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, like in their mind, they're like, they must really want that right one.
Yeah.
No, they know what's happening. This happens at the grocery store too.
They know what they're doing.
You know, the 4 self-checkout aisles the checkout areas that all face each other, and somebody starts a line at those self-checkouts that they're like, I'm in the middle, a couple feet back.
all
yeah,
six.
yeah.
And I'm in a beeline, and everyone should feed off of that one line. Right. If you do that, as soon as one frees up, you beeline to that one and you take it, and then the next person waits because there's 4. You don't know which one, and you
Exactly.
can't start building a line. There's like 3
Exactly.
inches in between machines.
That's
we
not-
all know how
That's
that
not
works.
a 2-line situation. That's a 1-line
No, that's
situation.
a one-line situation.
They've been around long enough now that everybody knows that.
At most, you have 1 extra person behind each self-checkout machine, and that's already too much. I'd be feeling crowded, and I wouldn't like it.
does.
I'm right there with you. You're right. You're right. It is the exact same scenario.
It is. We all know how that works.
Yes. And
Next
so
time
for
that happens in a McDonald's, you just yell, "This is like self-checkout."
Yes.
This is a self-checkout
Exactly.
situation.
Exactly.
You've never been more passionate on
Hey,
this podcast.
So listen. Chances are there are people listening right now who have gone around people at the McDonald's drive-thru.
kind of listeners anyways.
And all I'm saying is fix yourself. That's all I'm saying. You're in the
man.
Midwest. You don't know who has what on
And
their
if somebody calls you on it, you know what you do? You say, "Oh." And you back up
and you take full
in line,
responsibility.
and you take full responsibility. You give them the
Yeah.
biggest OPE that sounds innocent that you can, and you back up. And
Maybe
you get
this
back
is
to
why
line.
we have such opinions about these matters, because in social situations, we're just always defaulting to, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah,
So it gets pent up after all this time.
that's absolutely.
And the only
what
place
happens.
to talk about it is on a podcast that
This
nobody
is why
listens
we
to.
started a podcast, so we don't have to say "ope" anymore. I'm tired of saying "ope."
No more opes.
What does OPE even mean?
That's so funny.
So that's a thing.
That's a 35-minute intro. Hey, Dylan, tell us what we're doing, man.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sharp, and I realize the 2010s are over. Like the whole decade is over now.
Well, the decade's not over. This is the last year of the decade,
Well, if you're counting 2010 to 2019,
which is how people count. They start
the
with 1.
teens, The teens.
They count
counting
1 through
the teens.
They count 1 through 10.
The
This
teens.
is the first year of the 2020s, but it is not the first year of a new decade.
Right. But we're talking about the teens. The teens are over. The 20
teens
teens are over.
Does that count 11, 12, and 10?
Yeah. That's all of them.
How does that make sense?
Because you're lumping it together. I don't know. Just, we got to go along. So
No, let's talk about this.
we got all the time in the world. Go ahead. I really am not passionate about this at all. I don't. We had about a 10-year span. I don't know.
We'll just
Probably not a good value proposition for the podcast.
Yeah.
I really couldn't care less about this.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yes, they're over.
Yeah, so
We're in the 20s now.
we're in the 20s.
Pet peeve.
Thanks.
We're in the 20s, almost to a new decade.
We're in the roaring 20s. Did we decide on what the 20s were going to be called? The 2020s? We talked about that a long time
It was up to
ago.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else do you think is weighing in on this?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I remember you wanted me to do that.
Oh, dog ate it. Dog ate it.
Anyways,
Sorry, world.
I thought it would be fun, as we've just exited award season, if we gave some awards for some of our favorite things of the 2010s. And so we have some categories picked out. And this has nothing to do with what we think critics should like, or we don't care if you like it. These are just going to be things that we like. And we're going to award some awards for some best categories, best in class.
What are we going to call our awards?
The Middies.
The Middies.
Middies.
The MIDI.
Middies.
The
Like
two,
the old music files?
yes, the 2010 Middies. I think it would be like MIDDIES. Middies, like that. I don't know. I don't know. We're literally making this up as we go.
Cool.
The Middies
Cool.
best of the 2010s
Cool.
is what we can call that. Hey, that would be a title. We could use that in the title.
The Middies best of the 2010s.
Best
if we
of the
ever get to it.
If we ever get to it.
I like that it kind of sounds like Dundee's
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That feels good.
And
Okay.
which kind of sounds like undies, which
or Grundies.
are good.
Who doesn't like undies? Or me undies? You
I
could.
love
Corey
MeUndies.
loves me undies.
Man.
Huge
Not
fan.
me. Well, his undies.
Hey, do
He
you
doesn't
like
love-
yours? You got some.
If
like-
that's an update, I got a pair.
Yeah. Do you love them?
I really okay.
Are you wearing them right now?
You're going to crush my soul right now.
No, I'm not wearing them right now. I have worn them once. They're very nice. I wouldn't say that I love them.
I've never tried.
However, I think the Costco, their in-house brand, I'm realizing now might have been built as like a MeUndies competitor. They're very similar.
Are they micromodal fabrics?
I don't know. They're soft.
They're the Tyco
Okay, well,
of underwear.
Yeah.
Costco ones are.
I
They might. Hey. They might fit just fine, but they're not. They're not Lego.
well, that's probably true.
don't get us started. We got middies.
We got middies to do. All right. So middies. best of the 2010s.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first award for best feature film goes to who, Kendall? For you.
For me, it's a coin flip. So I'm going to go ahead and do nominees for this one. I think this is the only one
You can format this however you want.
It's either Get Out, horror film from 2017.
Yep.
Jordan Peele.
Okay.
Or Shutter Island, starring Leonardo DiCaprio from 2010.
Interesting.
Both of them are fantastic in their own right.
What category would you put Get Out in?
I'd say, well, what modern day calls horror.
Are there subgenres of horror? Really?
Yeah, I guess. Well, so horror fanatics, many would tell you that a horror film is meant to be repulsive.
Okay.
It's supposed to bug you.
Uh-huh.
And so they would, like many slasher films or like thriller films or things. So like the Scream movies, when they came out, the horror film fans, many of them were like, these are slasher films. They are not horror movies. There's nothing about these movies that's repulsive.
Okay.
So they would not have qualified those as horror movies.
I saw Get Out. It felt almost like at parts it was trying to be, and if you know Jordan Peele, like comedy. And
that's the thing about, so he has a couple of those movies out now that I've seen both. I'm a fan of both of them. I don't think he's trying to do comedy with either one of them. I think Get Out, he's likely making a couple of statements there about race, but
satirical, different than comedy, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Sorry, I'm picking apart your choices.
No, I mean, there's a couple points where I don't think he was trying to make it a funny movie.
Okay.
I think there might have been some funny characters.
Yeah.
Kind of the way they said things and did things in such an unashamed manner.
Yeah.
Would have caused some people to laugh.
Yeah.
But
I liked it.
yeah, it was. So I thought it was a great movie. I'm going to flip. This side is Get Out.
Okay.
And Shutter Island wins.
Shutter Island.
All right.
Also saw that one. Very good.
Your MIDI is in the mail, Shutter Island.
Cool.
Perfect. Corey, your feature film of the 2010s?
I've talked about it before. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. One of my top favorite movies of all time now. Probably top 3 or 5. Just groundbreaking animation. Stuff that had never been attempted before. Visually, so much fun. Felt like you were watching a comic book. New treatment of Spider-Man that felt fresh and funny. Fun characters. Awesome. Loved it.
We haven't done a Why Should I Watch segment in a while, but that was it. That was the pitch. If you haven't seen Spider-Man,
Am I just supposed to say it and shut up? Because I'll do that.
No,
Okay.
that's great. No, I think that's perfect. Because
Spider-Man
Into the Spider-Verse.
I don't think mine is going to surprise literally anyone.
We'll see.
But I do have an honorable mention as
Okay.
well for this one. So my favorite movie of the 2010s, the MIDI goes to Avengers Endgame.
Ah, yes.
Not surprising to anyone. But honorable mention to 2016's Star Wars Rogue One.
Yep.
Because that last 30 minutes of Rogue One is the best 30 minutes of Star Wars I think I've ever seen. And so it's incredibly fun.
As Nicolas Cage would say, that's high praise.
Yeah, he probably would.
It's high praise.
So those are our
Should we
MIDI.
pick our favorite Nicolas Cage movie?
We can, sure.
I don't think I watched any
That's unfortunate
in the
for you.
last 10 years.
Well, no one has because he hasn't done any.
No,
Actually, I think he has just a bunch of really low budget.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, he's done
Yeah.
too many.
He's done a lot of movies.
Yeah. I think
Nicolas Cage.
I think I'm going to actually pick one now. Like that started as a joke.
okay.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we go.
I think it'd be real close between Gone in 60 Seconds or National Treasure. And I really
2010s?
No, just best Nicolas Cage film.
Okay.
And I really liked Con Air, and I really liked Face Off, and he was in The Rock, right? With Sean Connery. Was that
Maybe.
Nicolas Cage? I really liked Con Air. Put down the bunny. But I think National Treasure or maybe National Treasure. It was real good. Gone in 6 seconds. Anyways.
Right on. Hey. A lot of people make fun of Nicolas Cage. I'm a fan of Nicolas
He's a meme now. And Brendan Fraser kind of has become a meme too. A couple actors that were popular in the 90s and 2000s. But there was some very good movies by both of them in there. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to move on? Do we want to move on to the next Middie?
Yes.
All right. The Middie for best music album of the 2010s. Corey, yours goes to.
As a guy who listens to almost zero country music, Chris Stapleton's Traveler album from 2015. Don't you dare.
I thought that was going to be applause. I need to remember which.
Try it again. Say it again.
I don't think I have applause. I don't know if I. Nope, I don't have applause.
We have a cash register, but we don't have applause.
Listen, I know Chris listens, and I'm very sorry for what just transpired. You don't deserve that. You're better than that. You have a voice that is angelic, and you've made me listen to country music. I love you.
Windows just rebooted again. All right. The Middie for the best musical album. Kendall, yours goes to.
Mumford & Sons' Wilder Mind.
Yeah, I get that.
That is their.
Was that the breakthrough album?
That was the transition album from folk to electric, which was, I think, very well timed. In a moment, like everybody is now like seeing Mumford & Sons and it's folk, and now all these other folk bands are coming up and gaining notoriety. Many of which were around before Mumford, but they weren't popular yet. And Mumford's been on award shows performing and everything, and now. Like pop music is going folk, and then like the kings of it all, Mumford & Sons, put out an electric album, and I thought it was brilliant, and I thought the album was fire.
Yeah,
Straight fire.
Honestly, since their breakthrough album, I would venture to guess, and maybe the Middlers can correct me, most people probably haven't really been following Mumford & Sons since then.
Probably not.
They probably listened to that album that was the breakout, and then haven't followed since. So I'm surprised to hear that, and good for them if they transitioned at the right time.
I think so.
Cool. All right. My best musical album of the 2010s, Gregory Porter, Liquid Spirit from 2013. I don't know how to describe him without giving him potentially too much credit, but and I don't mean that like, you'll know what I mean after I say this. He's almost like the modern spiritual successor to Nat King Cole. And that's high praise if you like Nat King Cole.
High praise.
He has a very unique voice. But I love Gregory Porter's music. The Liquid Spirit album is fantastic. It's from 2013. He's had several since, and he actually did one of his most recent albums is him doing like Nat King Cole stuff because that whole thing makes sense.
Okay.
But he uses so many instruments and uses them really well in his album, playing behind him, that it's just such an interesting, relaxing album to listen to.
Didn't he play professional football? Was he in the NFL?
He played college football,
Okay.
I believe. I might get some of these details wrong. I think he was playing college at San Diego State, and he got hurt, and he quickly pivoted to singing, which he's clearly very good at. And interestingly, he sort of wears this like snow cap type thing around his head.
Almost like a balaclava.
Yeah, it's really tight to his neck, and even in his album art, you can see him wearing it, and it's kind of his like safety thing. That's what makes him feel comfortable enough to get up and perform, and it's even in all his photo shoots, he's wearing it, and it's. If you'll notice it if you really pay attention to the photos on his album art and stuff, but dude is super talented. I had another honorable mention. It was tough to decide. There's a Italian pianist. I'm going to probably say it wrong. Ludovico Einaudi, and his Islands album from 2011. If you like piano music and you don't like it always to feel perky, like who's that? Not perky, but really upbeat. He's a Christian piano player.
Jim Brickman?
There's Jim Brickman, and then there's... Maybe I'm just thinking of Jim Brickman.
I don't know.
But Jim Brickman's stuff feels very light and sweet and whatever. And Ludovico's stuff gets it bounces around a lot more. Emotionally, it feels like there's a lot more depth to it than just lighthearted. His Islands album is so good. So if you like just like solo piano, and he does some other stuff with other musicians, but most of his work is solo piano. And I've been listening to it for almost a decade now. So good. That's my honorable mention.
Right on.
All right. Next Middies. Favorite musical artist.
Oh, it's musical
Well, just favorite
artist.
artist.
I thought you meant artist.
No one would have had it.
It's whatever you meant by.
Well, that's fine. You just share. It's made up awards. You do whatever.
We just said the word artist and gave it to Corey.
Yeah, I did musical artist, but
As did I. Art is art, man.
yeah.
Art
so
is
you
art.
put whatever you want. But if while we're talking, I'll start with Kendall.
Okay.
If while we're talking you have a favorite musical artist of the
Okay.
2010s, then go ahead and list it. So Kendall,
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Is it really it?
So this is
From La La Land?
From La La Land, yeah. No, so okay, so she is. I am legitimately a fan. I'm not. I'm not going to go. Well, I might see her live. I don't know, but she's not my favorite artist. This is one of those. I guess on some of these, I just kind of picked what my favorite was, and on some of them, I picked like, who do I think deserves to be
That's fine.
artist of the decade?
The criteria for this is literally made up.
Exactly.
You pick whatever you
when I
want.
think to myself, music artist of the decade, I think Lady Gaga.
All right.
I think where she has the caliber of artistry and skill, and an air about her that like puts her on par with Madonna, but she's not copycatting anybody. She is her. So there's one article that I'd read about her said that like in a world of copycats, Lady Gaga is unashamedly Lady Gaga, and that's the way she's always been.
Yeah.
And I love that, and it has served her well, and I think it has created in her just an artist that is unlike any other.
All right. That's fair. I'll do mine next. So the MIDI for best artist, I had 3 honorable mentions because I couldn't narrow it down. And really my criteria was who did I enjoy listening to the most for the decade? That sounds obvious.
Sure.
But like, who did I have the best time listening to? And I couldn't pick Michael Bublé because he predates 2010.
I know. I had so many of those. That's because we're getting old.
Yeah, it is.
None of my favorite anythings were in the last 10 years.
I was really focused on new-ish artists that really their first album at least came out. Gregory Porter wins, because his first album was 2010, and then Liquid Spirit that I mentioned was 2013.
There you go.
So Gregory Porter, I've been listening to the dude literally since I found him. I didn't find him, you know what I mean? But honorable mention, people like Tori Kelly, Alessia Cara, Sam Smith. They've had some really, really good albums, and I've enjoyed listening to some of their music. And so I had to include all of those. I think they're all kind of similar voices to each other, but they're unique from a lot of others.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed listening to all of their music that I've heard over. And it's not even like they've had dozens of albums in that time, but what they have come out with, I've enjoyed.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a toss-up between Sam Smith and Callum Scott, or even Adele. Just sort of those like stripped-down vocalists. It's them and a piano or them and a guitar, and you can't hide behind anything.
Sure.
That's what I love more than anything is just vocal performers. And so Callum Scott was on America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, and that's how he got famous.
I don't know. And doesn't Adele's first album predate 2010?
I don't know if it's her first one,
Yeah, I wouldn't even.
but she's got one in the 2010s.
Yeah, when I was thinking about it, I wasn't trying to think of someone who came out in the 2010s. I was thinking of who had the best decade.
That lends itself to
yeah.
us making all of this up. So
I remember the first time I heard Sam Smith, and I was like, whoa, that's different. Like, just belting vocals like that. With a range like he has, I was like, that's craziness right there.
on
Into
top
the
of
control.
that whole first album being very good.
Yeah.
Everything
So,
on that album's listenable.
one of those British vocalists.
Yeah. Jasmine Thompson's in there.
Oh,
probably
yeah.
somewhere,
She's
too.
good. She's got
super
some good covers.
All right.
Okay.
What was your traditional artist?
Oh, so like Fraser Davidson, I've talked about him on this podcast before. He is the reason that I got into sports branding and doing logos for sports teams. So just from this guy's art inspired me to pursue a whole other category or subclass of art that I'd never really played with before, and has been the most lucrative part of my business since. So like, I feel like I owe him as like I don't know. Fraser Davidson, check out Field Theory online, and he's now doing stuff for ESPN, not just logos, like all of the little motion graphics that happen between commercial breaks in the games, cute little, characters of players or like he's doing stop motion graphics and stuff like that. The dude is just insane. So anyway, Fraser Davidson.
All right. So here's the MIDI for best YouTube channel of the 2010s. Kendall, who's your MIDI go-to?
This one I also had a toss, so I'll do what you've been doing, an honorable mention.
Beautiful.
Captain Disillusion would be my favorite, and this is kind of closer to your artist criteria for me in that it was the out of I have subscribed to and have watched a lot of YouTube in the last 10 years. His channel has been the one where I get the most excited when I see there's a new video, and if you're not familiar with Captain Disillusion, he was years ago. He was the guy who made it cool to like take popular viral videos that are out there about weird, crazy things or magic tricks or whatever, and then show you the camera tricks that they're using to make it fake. And so he was doing that before like Reddit came along and just started, and then crowdsourcing the ability to do that. And so he would actually like make a video showing you the video first, and then telling you why it's fake and how it's fake, how they did it. And then he goes ahead and recreates the video and shows you step by step how he's doing it. And, and it was very cool. And then but now like with the uptick in Reddit and that kind of thing, and he even joked about this like on a regular basis, that like he can't do those videos anymore because like things don't get past people anymore. And so he can't, if he's not going to come out and make a video, could spend all this time to make that type of video when the whole world already knows it was fake.
Yeah.
And so now he just kind of does like videography tips and tricks and definitions and things, which I find much less exciting than.
Is that
what
his
he's
background?
doing.
Is that how he was able to pick it apart?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So his knowledge on video tech is astounding.
Gotcha.
Honorable mention goes to
Can
Coyote.
I guess? Oh, never. I wouldn't have got.
You saw the list, I think. My
did.
list.
Well, I didn't.
Anyway,
I don't remember.
Coyote Peterson and Brave Wilderness, which is it's geared toward kids. It's kind of like a National Geographic, but for YouTube. And it's just that this guy, a few guys started this channel where they go around the country, and then as they got money, they went around the world and looked for animals and did kind of like a Steve Irwin kind of show.
Okay.
Particularly popular for his channel was he did a whole series on him, Coyote Peterson, the main character in these things, intentionally getting stung or bitten by this, and he used this index of like the 10, 15, 20, however many it was, supposed worst stings in the world. And he would go around and find these insects, and or in some cases they were like caterpillars or that had nasty bites, or or fire ants or whatever, and he would intentionally get himself stung or bit, and then tell you, yep, that's bad.
End of video.
And then he gave his own ranking, and
Wow.
oh, it was some scary stuff. Like, that's what got me. I think a lot of people got into him because of those videos.
That's funny. The first one that he does is like, it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10.
Done with these videos.
The second one, also a 10. I need a new scale.
Some of them were bad. He also did ones of like so like you've heard that snapping turtles can break bone. Let's find out. Good Lord. So he has a handful of those. Now, that is a very small percentage of the videos that he does, and when he's doing those videos,
For obvious reasons.
he's not doing those videos with the character of a shock jock, right? He's doing those videos with kind of more of an educational thing to them. But people who are in their 30s, that's not why they're watching it. We want to see this idiot get bit by a snapping turtle, or get stung by an insect called a cow killer.
Okay, I've never heard of either of those.
Guys,
I totally new.
just go to YouTube, type in Brave Wilderness Sting, and you'll see a whole bunch of videos, and just go down the hole.
And he's still with us?
He's still with us. I'm pretty sure he's from like Westerville, I think.
Seriously?
I think so.
Wow.
I was going to incorrectly guess binging with Babish.
Oh, well, see, that would be, there's a lot that I follow that I love.
Yeah.
I love binging with Babish.
Because I specifically remember like you got gleefully like into it when we brought that up, and you like mentioned that you loved it, and I thought, I bet that's one of them, and I really didn't look at your list.
Yeah, so I had to go back and think like of the last decade. So Coyote Peterson, he's not doing the Sting videos anymore, because he's done with that, and he's and Captain Disillusion isn't making the videos that I loved anymore. He's making different ones. So if I were to say within the last year, what would your favorites be? The answers would be different.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
But it's the whole decade, so
Exactly.
yeah. All right, Corey.
The whole decade minus a year, because we're still in the decade.
This is a very me thing to say, but it's one that I just discovered this weekend. I know, because like people that know me are like, oh, it's his new favorite thing, because I get very excited about things. But I really thought about it, and I went, of all the YouTube channels so far, I mean, I went through a huge portion of the library. Anyway, it's Adam Savage's Tested. I was a huge Mythbusters fan, and I always liked Adam a little more. He's in the prop movie making entertainment industry. And to watch anybody create is one of the most fun things for me. So they're rapid prototyping, and they're testing things. And his shop is a love letter to geek culture, movies, and entertainment. And he's got actual costumes from the Star Wars franchise and things like that. But he's also into what do you call it when you dress up?
Cosplay.
Cosplay. He's also into cosplay, so he makes incredibly intricate movie quality costumes of his favorite characters. But anyway, the sub channel on his on this page is One Day Builds, and so this is either real client projects that he's been given, or just something he's always wanted to try. And to see his shop and all the organization of his shop and how he's labeled his shop and everything he has. And then to see him like go from sketch phase to whatever he's going to build for that day, it's just so thrilling to watch. And he's funny. And yeah. So anyway, I think that's my new favorite.
It's fair.
YouTube channel.
Absolutely can be new. I have very limited experience with YouTube. Like, I remember sitting with a friend once, and he's playing like these, a dozen of the most popular videos that would have been on YouTube at all. And he's like, have you seen this one? No. Have you seen this one? No. Have you seen this one? No. I miss so much of it. So I need to get out more. And by get out, I mean watch more on my television. But I love the Tri channel. And I love the Irish people try videos. I've mentioned it before. They're so simple. I love that virtually all of them are food related. And I think it's so amusing to just watch, because the key point there is a lot of the foods and things are foreign to them because they don't live in the US, and they're trying things like what we would eat for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, they have potatoes and beef, but they might not eat everything prepared the way that we prepare it. They might not eat certain junk foods all the time, or ice creams or chips or whatever. So for us, what's so normal watching them to react, especially with how often our food is overly artificially sweet and artificially flavored, and to see them react to like something like Doritos and just go, it tastes like such fake cheese, where we don't even think about it. I just find the endlessly amusing.
Is part of the appeal there because of their accent? Like, do you think people watch for that
course.
reason?
So would there be an Australian version?
It would probably be super entertaining.
Would people like it as much?
And Tri Channel either needs to make one in Australia, or somebody in Australia needs to make it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I really enjoy the Tri Channel videos. I think we're at the point where we're going to have to finish the Middies.
Yeah, we're halfway through the Middies.
We had
this
the
is so fun.
second longest intro ever, and we're going to have to finish the Middies on another episode.
Okay.
Because I've got a handful more that I can see from my bird's nest.
What?
I don't know. Just came out of my mouth hole.
Is that like a kookaburra? Is that a bird?
I have no idea.
Anyway.
Yes. Kookaburra sits
In the old gum tree, Mary, Mary, king of the bushes, he laugh, kookaburra laugh, kookaburra saved from there for me.
Good night, everybody.